We left off the Tosus here. Rashi had learned that if it would have been Trey regarding Yanai's mother, two witnesses said she was taken captive. Two witnesses she wasn't taken captive. Samara says she would have been Osir. So Rashi asked, why would she have been Osir? So we discussed Rashi. Tosus rejects Rashi from the Gemara in Ksubis because we say that the chazaka of the mother can be used to determine the status of the child. Right? That was Tosus' question on Rashi. We're holding by the answer. Yesh lomar. Omar uki trei labi trei lo b'truma d'Rabbanan. We discussed this. You have trei. Two say she was taken captive. If that's the case, she's not permitted to Kohen. Two say she was not taken captive. Right? She has a chazaka. Right? After everything's said and done, we have a question. What is she? She has a cheskes kashrus, so she should be permitted to the Kohen. Right? So he says that we say trei, that we follow chazaka, that's only if we're dealing on a rabbinical level. Ubaholo echmiru avu yuchsin dikisur the rights echmiru vasura hi midrabanan. Here. You know, you have two types. There's truma drabanan, truma daraisa. Gemara says that at certain times there's certain truma which is only rabbinical. So regarding truma drabanan, trei, you go after chazaka. Chazaka would permit you to retain your status, to be permitted to truma. What about for yuchsin? We're talking about establishing pedigree. For establishing pedigree, we're machmir. Even on a Torah level, you have a right to go after chazaka. But because we're dealing with pedigree, since factually it's a suffix, without chazaka, it's a suffix. Therefore, as a result of that, we're machmir. So why were they machmir with Yanai? Your machmir Yanai was only rabbinical. That this Yehuda ben Gedidyo said, Yanai, remove the tzitz from between your eyes, that was all based on a rabbinic stringency. On a Torah level, he was 100% of a kosher Kohen, Yanai. Because if you have trei, what is it? Trei, you have a chazaka. His mother had a chazaka. And you're able to use the chazaka of the mother for the child. Because when we deal with yuchsin, we deal with pedigree, the chazal were always more machmir. You know, we just had a Ramban in this week's parsha, David. We studied Ramban one time. During Bayesheni, there were no revealed miracles. You know that. The only miracle during Bayesheni was the Ness of Hanukkah. Outside of Hanukkah, there was no revealed miracles. But the Ramban says there was one revealed miracle that persisted till the end of Bayesheni. What was that? That was Mesota. If a woman was a suspected adulteress, and she claimed her innocence, and the husband's interested in going through the ritual of the Sota, so the Torah says that if in fact she did commit adultery, after she drinks the water, what happens to her? She bloats, she swells, and literally she bursts, where she becomes totally dismembered. Her body falls apart. If she's innocent, then to the contrary. Her health enhances, and she couldn't give birth. She's able to give birth, conceive, so on and so forth. So it's a Nes Golui. It's a revealed miracle. So if there are no miracles during Bayesheni, why did Hashem retain? So why weren't there revealed miracles? Because you're not worthy of such a miracle. You have to be worthy of Nisim Geluyim. So why this Nes Golui that Hashem allowed to continue? Even though, so the Ramban says, because when it comes to Yichus, to the pedigree of Klal Yisrael, Hashem, and there should not be any illegitimacy. So therefore, even though we're not worthy of the miracle, but for the sake of the purity of Klal Yisrael, Hashem performed the miracle. That's the reason why it continued through Bayesheni, the Mesota, although it was a Nes Golui. Okay, let's go further. He said the right thing. Doesn't make a difference. Not a stringency. Rabbinic enactment. It wasn't a stringency. They were machmir, therefore they legislated. On a Torah level, you have to wait 6 hours between milk and meat, right? Again, repeat again. There's such a thing as drabonans. You can't just brush aside drabonans. Midrabanan, Yanai was not qualified to be a Kohen Gadol. If there was a trei, he's not qualified. Chazaka is on a Torah level. The Chachomim said even though there's Chazaka, but factually, because you have Trey with Trey, we're Machmi, because there are two other witnesses saying contrary to the Chazaka. Right? So therefore, rabbinically, she's not permitted. Because it's Yuchus. That's what we're saying. Exactly. Now it's interesting. Let's see, we'd have a case. Ask a question. We have the case in Ksubis. You had a community, a woman's raped. The majority of the people in the community are Jews. A minority are Goyim. What is the status of the woman? Kosher. What do you say? Chazaka, what do we say? Chazaka, what? We're machmir. It's pedigree. Right? That's what we're saying over here. Trey, on a Torah level, you should go with the chazaka. Right? But because it's yichus, it's pedigree, we're machmir. So what about over there? We're speaking about the pedigree of the child. Is the child a Jew or a child not a Jew? She was raped. Did a goy rape her? Did a Jew rape her? So if the majority of the members of the community are Jews, we say a Jew raped her. We should be machmir. But over there we follow Rov. As we follow Rov, even though it has relevance to Yichus, to pedigree, follow Chazaka. What's the difference? What about if it be 50-50 over there? If it's 50-50, you also go with the Chazaka. You go with the Chazaka, even though it's pedigree. No, it's a question. 50% Goy and 50% Jews. Woman's raped. What's her status? Chazaka tells me she's permitted. Right? And the father of that child is a Jew. So why over here is it different? Because over here I have two witnesses countering the Chazaka. You understand? You have to come on to an understanding, but how do you go after Chazaka? We have two witnesses who are saying contrary to the Chazaka. A woman has a cheskes kashrus. Two witnesses say she had relations with a non-Jew. Does Chazaka mean anything? It means nothing. Correct? So over here, factually, you have two witnesses countering her Chazaka. Two say she was taken captive. If two witnesses say she's taken captive, that's because Chazaka is irrelevant. It's only because you have other two witnesses countering those two witnesses, it's trey or trey. But in terms of perception-wise, what's the perception? The two witnesses countering a Chazaka. That's why I'm machmir. But if I have 50% non-Jews, 50% Jews in the community, she's raped, and she has a Chazaka, I have nothing countering the Chazaka. There's no way to say differently. Therefore, the Torah said, what do? Even rabbinically, you go after Chazaka. Therefore, that situation, I could follow Chazaka. And here, I'm machmir, and I don't go after Chazaka. Yeah, but again, everything's based on perception. Factually, two witnesses said in court she was taken captive. See, although it has no validity, because I have two other witnesses countering what they're saying, because the trey doesn't make a difference. That's perception, exactly. Yeah, but on record, two witnesses said she... So we have a question in our minds, right? Which witnesses are telling the truth? But if the ones who say she was taken captive are telling the truth, that means, what is she? To me... That's even greater. Rabbinically, of course it is. It has no value. The testimony at Torah level has no value. Because testimony has value if it verifies. This testimony doesn't verify. So that's when at Torah level I do go after Chazaka. But factually, I do have witnesses who did testify, say she was taken captive. That's a fact. Therefore, it's only with alumnus I negate those witnesses. Right? With the community, it's a whole different thing. I have a question. Who raped her? I don't know. So what is Chazaka? Torah says 50-50. You don't know. Chazaka, status quo. Presumed status. I think it's clear. It's clear as day and night. Okay, further. Okay.
Does the Gemara deal with that issue?
Did he do the wrong thing?
Well, no, I mean, how, we're not, at this point, we're saying he did the right thing. And yet
The question is, if he would have known Yanai's reaction, would have he said anything? Probably not. He didn't know. He didn't know. Right, he wouldn't have. Right, correct.
Now I understand. That's easy. But why did all the Chachamim and just one left over, hidden away? For what? For following the halacha?
No, no, it's not he did following the halacha.
I mean, that was the reward for following the halacha. It's a typical.
That's a good question. Achov killed the Nevi'im. And if Avadja wouldn't have hidden away 50 Nevi'im, 100 Nevi'im in the cave, it would have been the end of the age of prophecy. They were prophets. God communicated with the people, right? He killed many, many prophets. They were righteous. They were devout. You have a question? Why is that less of a question?
Because here, it was because of following the halacha exclusively and having the courage to stand up to the king. And so we're now saying he did the right thing. If the Gemara had come out and said he did the wrong thing, he spoke impetuously, he was wrong in his calculation, okay. But here we're saying the opposite.
Very often, Moshe says, "Atzur Tomim Polo." This question is an important question. This is the test case of Emunah. God does things. You don't have to understand why He does things. Things have to happen because they have to happen. The Chachamim had to be all killed. Why? Only God knows. Only God knows. How was it precipitated? Through the statement of this one sage. That's it. You mean because he was found out? Okay, so now you have a chance. Now the outsiders say, you know something? Does it make sense? Okay, so do you submit to God or don't you submit to God? It's a test of Emunah. That's what it is. Atzur Tomim Polo. No. You find by Reb Kiva's Talmudim, right? No, I understand that because there they died of natural. Here it says because this was precipitated by a man who was an evil man, who went and he actually he was, as it says, he was evil, and he spoke to Yana in a way where he incited him. So because he incited him, therefore this was the end result. No. Let's get the story right. Right? They could have prevented it from happening. They could have stood up against the Romans. As it says, they sent you, Rabbi Shmuel Kohen Gadol, into heaven to ask, is this a decree from heaven? If it was just his choice that he wanted to express his evil on them, they could have stood up to him. No, because they could have prevented it. You understand? With Kabbalistic incantation, they could have stopped it. Should they submit? Should they not submit to the Romans? No, but I'm explaining to you why. No, because it says. Okay. They asked the question, we were able to prevent it or not prevent it. So they said, accept the heavenly decree. Okay, it was a heavenly decree. You know why? Because there's something for us to learn from that. There's something to learn from that. There is something to learn. Correct? It says, why did we go to Mitzrayim? Because they sold him he was sold into slavery. I mean, we didn't pay the price. We paid the price. The answer is, it still wasn't. That's the famous Rabbi Bachya. Because he didn't say, I forgive you. Because he didn't say the word, I mocha you. That's the reason why the 10 martyrs had to die to atone. It wasn't fully atoned for. Okay? No, because there's something to learn from there. From this, there's nothing to learn. There's nothing to learn from this. There's something to learn. And if there is something to learn, it's beyond one's ability, whatever you're able to cull from this. Okay. Get back to the Gemara here. So Abayi is bringing proof to himself, that if you have an Eid Echad saying that Zinsa Ishto, when he remained silent, so we say she's not permitted. Rava argues. He says, over here, it can't be Trey Utrey, because it would be Trey Utrey. Two say she was taken captive, two say she was not taken captive, then she wouldn't be permitted. Ela Beit Echad, the time of the Maktishli Beitrei. Originally, Eid Echad came and said, a single witness came and said, Nishvis. Yanai's mother was taken captive. Two witnesses counted them. So, because two witnesses counted the one witness, Holav Hochi, but if not for the two witnesses countering the one witness, Mehemen, he would be believed. We're speaking, as he said, we would be Shosak, well, we wouldn't be able to respond. So you see clearly that in Eid Echad, if it's Shosak, the woman assumes the status of what? As if she's defiled. So similarly here. Even though it's the equivalent of Davar Shebe'erfa, you have to have two witnesses. So you see from here that when you have a single witness and you're Shosak, the silence means you're accepting the testimony of the single witness. So this supports Abaye. Rava Baloma Trey Utrey. Rava says no, it's being two Trey Utrey. Who said it's Trey Utrey? If that's the case, she would not be permitted. So what it says, Lo Nimtza Dover, it wasn't verified. It says it was not proven. The mother retained her pure status. That originally, there were two said she was taken captive, and another two came, and they claimed that Imonu Yisam. You couldn't have witnessed her being taken captive because you were elsewhere. So again, that was Lo Nibtzad Dover. Of course, they were proven to be what? Proven to be false witnesses. Ibo Seimo Reb Yitzchok, Dom Reb Yitzchok Shivcha Chnisa Tachteo. It's a whole different story. That originally they captured her, but they didn't sequester themselves with her. And they went and they took a Canaanite slave and they exchanged the Canaanite slaves for Yanai's mother. And the captors weren't aware of this. Omar Rava. Okay, we'll leave that. No. Why should he make it also? It's only Trey. That's exactly how we differentiate. Trey, it's still, we haven't proven who's lying. Here you have Avi Azoma, that proves the first group is nothing. No. That's the reason why it was resolved. It was Lo Nimtzad Dover. It was never proven that she was taken captive. No, exact. But if there wouldn't be two countering the one, then the one would be sufficient to question what her status would be. Okay? No, sir. That's we discussed. That's a separate discussion. We started with this. That it was Lo Nimtzad Dover. They tried to verify, and they weren't able to verify her unacceptable status. So the Rishon will speak about this. Yeah. So he said, I mentioned the Ritva and the Rashba. He wore the tzitz, right? So they both, Rashi and Tosha speak. How do you wear the tzitz? It's one of the vestments. So Rashi says because you're permitted to benefit from the vestments. Tosha says you're not permitted. You may not be moel, but you're not permitted. So he says the tzitz is the only vestment that you're permitted to wear. But factually, it's inappropriate to wear the tzitz if it's not within the confines of the Azorah. And this was not in the Azorah. So therefore, it was a certain level of disrespect for the tzitz. Therefore, that caused them to question, because there's a more obvious question. Yana, he conducted himself as the Kohen Gadol. Initially they should have criticized him. Yana, you don't belong there. Why did this whole incident have to come about, right? All along he was functioning as the Kohen Gadol, right? He was officiating as the Kohen Gadol. They should have, definitely, he was officiating as the Kohen Gadol. Not as a result of, here he came, this whole story came back from a victory and so on and so forth. But because this man said, they're not really your friends, these people. They're not your friends, he says. But you prove it to me? He says, you'll see. When you have your party put on the tzitz, then you'll see the truth, who they are. So they asked, why over here? Why aren't they criticizing? Because before he was acting, he was behaving properly. Now this showed a certain insensitivity. Therefore they said to him, since initially the question came about, it was never proven your mother wasn't, you know something, why don't you step down? It's better you should step down. What he said, he didn't say anything wrong, but he didn't realize the reaction that was going to be. What kind of reaction it was going to be over here. See, what Tosa speaks about, that's trey or trey. If it would be trey or trey, then rabbinically he would be disqualified, because that's yichud. But there wasn't trey or trey. It was 2 against 1. So if it's 2 against 1, it was never proven that his mother ever was taken captive. Nevertheless, but because of this insensitivity of wearing the tzitz, therefore that was enough reason to cast doubt upon him, you know something, maybe you should step down. But if initially she was never taken captive, they wouldn't have said anything. It's only because initially the question came up, although it was never proven, therefore that's the reason why he made his remark. Okay. Let's go. Omer Rava. Rava says that if you have an Eid Echad saying that the wife committed adultery, okay? Eid Echad says Ishto Zinso. Rava says even if you shosak, even if you remain silent, it means nothing. So Tosas says, what does that mean? That shtika is not shaveh nafshach chatik yisura. Person can remain silent for some other reason. We mentioned another way that if the reason why you remain silent is not because you give the credibility, is still a credibility to have an Eid Echad, because we showed it in the Gemara. The Gemara says the story with the person who was blind. So he said to him that if he has the credibility of 2 witnesses to you, then she's not permitted to you. Remember, that's what he said to him. The story about Mar Shmuel, the blind person. So he said to the blind person that if the shliach only has the credibility of 1 witness, then your wife is permitted to you. But if she has the credibility of 2 witnesses, then she's not permitted to you, even though it's 1 person. So what do you see? It's based upon what degree of credibility to give that 1 witness, the way we explained it. If I'm only believing what he says as an Eid Echad, Torah says a Davar Shebe'er an Eid Echad has no credibility. But the way Rava understands it. But if you say you believe him factually, as if it did happen, not because you have to accept the testimony of an Eid Echad. If you have to accept the testimony of an Eid Echad is not believed. But if you're accepting him that factually it did happen, not because he's an aid, as if factually it happened, you accept it as evidence because you truly believe it happened, then she's not permitted. So Rav is going to be proof that you have to have the credibility of 2 witnesses, and if you don't have the credibility of 2 witnesses, then it means nothing. Shtika means nothing. Did not. Omer Reb Shimon, Maisa b'megur shel diskim. There was an incident with a stream, a mikveh. So Rashi says either discus means it was a location or name of a person. B'yavne. Shoyso medis b'cheske shleimo. There was a presumed status that the mikveh was a kosher mikveh, shleimo. It had sufficient amount of water. Ummodadu v'niptzas chasero. And at a later date, they measured it. They found out it was deficient in water. It did not have the full measure of the water. It didn't have arboim soah. So now we have a question. From that moment, originally, let's say a week ago, we definitely know it had arboim soah. In the interim period, people with tovel, they came in contact with tyrus or whatever it is. Now we measure it. And we find that it's deficient in water. It's lacking the 40 soah. So now we have a question. When did it become deficient? Did it happen 6 days ago? Did it happen just yesterday? When did it happen? So, if it happened after we measured it last time, that means whatever happened until then means nothing. That means the tefillah was not a valid tefillah. Whoever was tamei, he retained his tamei status, and whatever he came in contact with, he contaminated. So how do I deal with all the tires? So you say, we have a principle of chazaka. The mikveh had a cheskes shleimo, had a status, a presumed status was a kosher mikveh. And what happens when you have a chazaka dahashna chazaka meikora? I find out today it's what? It's deficient. And but yet I know originally it was not deficient. So we say that it became deficient at the last moment possible. So that means if it's the last moment possible, when is that? When you measured it, or a moment before you measured it. That's when it became deficient. So that means all the people who used the mikveh in the interim, based on chazaka, they should be Torah. We'll see. That's Reb Tarfon's position. Reb Kiva argues. Right? All the tyrus that was done, that were involved, people were involved with as a result of using that mikveh, Reb Tarfon ruled that it's what? That it's all Torah. That the tefillah was a valid tefillah. Reb Kiva metame. Reb Kiva says all the people are contaminated. Reb Tarfon mikveh ze b'cheskes sholem hu omeid. Bisofik abod l'chasro. Right? Originally, it had a cheskes shlema. The mikveh had a cheskes sholem. It was a complete mikveh. They measured initially had 40 saw, and then subsequently it became deficient. So you mean because of the sofek, you can invalidate it during that interim period, which was questionable. Al tachzerem yisofek because you shaval chazaka. That's Reb Tarfon. Omer Rabbi Akiva. Odem ze b'cheskes tomei. Who? What about the person? You're right. The mikveh has a chazaka meikora, has the original presumed status that it's shlema. But what about the person? The person that also has. He has a chazaka meikora that he was tomei. Right? Cheskes tomei who omeid bisofek atoba v'taro. And you want to change, to alter his presumed status of tomei because of what? Because of the chazaka meikora of what? Of the mikveh. Al tetarem yisofik. You have no right to give him a pure status because it's a suffix. Well, we'll say you have three. You have three chazokas. You have chazokah that make two chazokah make koros. You have a chazokah of the mikveh. You have chazokah dahashka. You have a chazokah now it's deficient. And you have a chazokah of the person. That's just tummy. This is a Gemara discussed in days and days in Nida. What? Wait a second. You have chazokah. Right? Torah says, whenever in doubt, well, we'll see if they're conflicting. Right? You have chazokah. The Gemara says, there's a Mishnah. It's a Mishnah the Mishnah in the Kvos is Reb Kiva's position. It's an anonymous Mishnah. If such a thing happens, we say everything's tummy. Now, but if the chazokah would rule on the mikveh initially, so I say, what kind of mikveh did the person who's tummy immerse himself into? A kosher mikveh. So his chazokah meikora, that he was tummy initially is totally irrelevant. It's only relevant if what? If the chazokah didn't rule on the mikveh, correct? I have a question. The mikveh that so and so went to was tummy. Was it a kosher mikveh? Was it not a kosher mikveh? Right? Because I find it's deficient today. So if I look at the mikveh, I said chazaka ruled. It wasn't deficient. So the one who's tamei immersed himself in a kosher mikveh. So what is the chazaka meikora of the tamei have relevance to the mikveh? The chazaka ruled on the mikveh before the man went into the mikveh. Right? What's my first shaila? My first question is, what was the mikveh when this so-and-so went and was told him the mikveh? Was it deficient or was it not deficient? Why do I have a question? Because I find it deficient today. Chazaka rules it was not deficient. So therefore, which mikveh did he immerse himself in? This contaminated in the kosher mikveh. So if that's the case, it's not a problem. That's Reb Tarfon. Reb Kiva says no. It's a problem. And this we discussed the other day. What's my question of the mikveh? We mentioned this. Why am I utilizing the chazaka of the mikveh? Because that has relevance to what? Let's say I would have, the mikveh has no relevance to anything. Do I employ the principle of chazaka? It's only because a question arose. The question arising is only relating to the person who's tummy. Right? Because the chazaka has to rule regarding the tummy person, it's not an independent question. What is the mikveh? The question on the mikveh is only a question because relating to the person who was tummy. Good question. Let me ask you a question. You have a mikveh. It's 40 so. Now I want to use the mikveh. Why am I permitted to use the mikveh? Because of chazokah? If I didn't measure it, Reb Kiva says no, it's not chazokah. If you have no basis to question its validity, it's not the principle. Even if Torah never said chazokah, there's no reason to question it. If the Torah didn't introduce chazokah, that means every time a person would go to the mikveh, you'd have to measure the mikveh. No. Chazokah is only if you have a question, you have to have chazokah to rule. You have to have chazokah to rule. When did the problem happen? Right? A woman was raped. Let's say a man marries a woman, and she has a presumed status, she's a basula. Right? She's born a virgin, she's still a virgin. Now he consummates the marriage after the chuppah, and he says, I found she wasn't a basula. So what does she say? I was raped after we were married. So, okay, so the Gemara says that. So the Gemara says, according to one opinion, she has a chazokah. Chazokah, what is chazokah? Chazokah Meikora tells me that when did it happen? The latest moment possible. So when is that? That means after she was married. She was raped. So over there, when does chazokah Meikora come into play? When you find the problem. If you never found the problem, there has to be a basis to question to activate the chazokah. I'm only activating the chazokah of the mikveh because I have a question, when did it become deficient? But why is that a question? Because it's a question relating to the person who used the mikveh. That person has a chazokah meikora, he himself has a presumed status that he's tamei. So I have two chazokah meikoras playing simultaneously. So why do I give greater value to chazokah A than chazokah B? Because there's no reason to question that the mikveh is not kosher. It's the presumed status, but it's not based on chazokah, the concept of chazokah. There's no reason to question. There's a concept that Gemara says, "Kol hechad lo chazinu lo machzikino." If you don't see a problem, why should I say there's a problem? Right? There's no problem. Why is there a problem? There is no problem. Doesn't make a difference. There's no reason to, there's no reason to question it. Now we have a question, when did it become deficient? So if you want to be smart like this type of situation, but again, it's a chumrah, it's not necessary. Not because in case you should find it should be deficient, then you're going to have a problem. See, according to Rav Tarfon, it's not a problem. You have a chazokah rule, it's not a problem. Because the mikveh has a chazokah. But before the problem arose, you didn't even need chazokah for that. Because if you have no reason to question its validity, of course it's valid. According to everybody, that would not be a question. You have initial presumed status now. Now because we know a week ago the mikveh definitely had 40 so, right? So now chazokah comes into play. The chazokah meikora, the original presumed status that the chazokah had 40 so. I have a question. When did it become deficient? Now or a week ago? After the last time we measured it. Wait a second. Okay, right? So therefore, now that I have a question, Torah says when you pit a chazokah, present chazokah versus initial chazokah, the initial chazokah overpowers the present, right? Because one goes forth and the other one goes backwards. We say, as it's deficient now, maybe it's deficient yesterday, right? That's the question. Chazokah dahashta means, if I have a chazokah now, as I find it deficient now, maybe it's deficient yesterday. But chazokah meikor, the original chazokah says no, that until you find it to be deficient, we say it was not deficient. So when did deficiency happen? When you found it to be deficient. That's when it happened. Because it was not deficient. So how did you know? So how did you never know it was kosher? Yeah, I go into a restaurant, it's kosher. Why is it kosher? Because it's called Chaim's, that's why it's kosher. No, no, you don't have a question because it's kosher. Of course it had to be established as kosher originally. Of course it had to be established.
He's saying that what Alfon is saying, that it switches at the very last minute before the mission, the last mission. And Rabbi Akiva is saying it switched immediately after the first.
It could have. He's not saying it did. It could have.
So he's not defining it that way. It could have.
It could have. It's a suffix.
In other words, it's enough to interfere with the chazaka of the
With the mikveh.
mikveh.
No, now I have a he has a cheskes tumah. The man himself, we have a question. Is he definitely tummy today? If he's definitely tummy, that means what he touched is definitely contaminated.
According to Rabbi Akiva, they should measure every single time they go into the mikveh.
Only if you have a problem later. That's to play safe, you mean? To play safe.
If one day you're going to find out the mikveh was
Okay.